not where we live. Because these are all my neighbors.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We welcome you to the Parks and Recreation Board meeting for Madison County here. We have a pretty tight hour, and we want to hear from as many people as we can here, so we want to be upfront about that. And yes, welcome. We're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. There's a lot of new faces in the crowd, so we just want everybody to know each other as we get started here. So we'll start with a little bit of introductions, give a little bit of an opening, and then this is a listening session. This is a time for us to hear questions, concerns, comments, encouragements, whatever it may be. We may or may not have answers in the moment. In fact, it's likely we will not, but that's why we're giving the opportunity for these questions to come forward so that we can find answers and get those out as we continue the planning.
And real quick, there is a sign-in sheet going around. I feel like I'm being super repetitive, but if you want to speak today, please sign in on that sign-in sheet. If you're just here to listen, you don't need to sign in. We just want to get a good feel for how many people want to speak so we can use our time efficiently and make sure we can get to everyone. Okay, so after we're done introing, we'll probably grab that sheet, so please try to get it around as quickly as possible.
I want to say they need to come up to the podium.
And yes, you'll need to come up to the podium, and you'll need to state your name and your address. All right. Oh, I get to start?
Yeah.
All right. So my name's Rachel Christensen. Let's see. So I've lived in Madison County since 2007. I've served in various roles in the county. I come from a Parks and Recreation background. One of my first jobs out of college was for Lake County Parks and Recreation. I worked as a staff member there. So parks are near and dear to me. One of the challenges that I faced when I lived in Lake County and worked for their parks department was that there was a lot of land that was already developed, and it was really difficult for us to do any type of Parks and Recreation expansion, just because of the way Northwest Indiana is and all the municipalities right up against each other, and any land that we were getting for Parks and Rec was either, I guess, dumped on. Like, we had to do a lot of cleanup and remediation to do any type of trail projects. It was super challenging because a lot of that land was already developed. So I think, planning for future generations is something that's really important to me, so that, we all enjoy Madison County today. We want to make sure that our kids and beyond can enjoy those spaces as well.
My name's Rob Wolfgang. I've worked in Madison County. I've worked up here for 25 years. I've lived here more or less my whole life. I worked in the surveyor's office up here for 25 years, and just knowing I'm a board appointment up here for the surveyor's office, and just knowing the county just gives me a unique perspective. Before this board even started, I was in the office, thinking of trail systems. All the counties around us, they have systems, and just how possibly, maybe in the future, if this would ever happen, things could be interconnected between us and the surrounding counties. Everybody could be joined, and get people from here to there, everywhere, and that was just my part of it. So.
Very good.
Hi, I'm Nancy Anderson. Didn't grow up in Madison County, but I've lived here since 1990. I actually grew up in Lake County, that Rachel referenced. And I have a quite extensive background in trees and urban forestry specifically. So for years, I served as the first executive director of the Indiana Urban Forest Council. Prior to that, I had also helped with the Indiana Arborists Association and served on the City of Anderson's Tree Commission and City Park Board, and served as Park Board President for the City of Anderson, and then started the Edgewood Town of their first tree board. I was one of their founding members right after, if you remember, the tornado hit that little community. So we started a tree board there. And then, so that's kind of like my vast knowledge of trees. And of course, now I serve as the Ascension St. Vincent Foundation Director, and I've been doing that for 12 years, and also had fundraising experience with United Way. So lots of grant experience. So that's kind of what I bring to the table.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Bannon. It's good to see you all here. Sincerely, it really is. It's good to have the feedback and the community engagement. I am Vice President of Community Engagement and the Chief Foundation Officer at Community Hospital Anderson. And grew up in the area. Yeah, thanks. Grew up in the area. Ken Delvesteed has known me since I was 13 years old because he would see me in the newsroom going to see my dad. I don't know why we are doing this. I'll turn this one off. So it's good to see everybody. I've been here a long time. I have a doctorate in public health, and through my dissertation and the research, there was a lot of feedback on people wanting trails in Madison County to help with our health scores, and that's kind of what led me here to volunteer for this board. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. My name is Ben Orcutt. I'm honored to sit here as the president of this board. I own a bicycle shop here in town. I've been an advocate at the city level and the state level for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, for trails, for safety, as well as recreational outlets. Me and my son do a lot of bike riding and camping and these types of things, kayak, canoeing, and to have those amenities a little bit closer to home would be really great. The health aspect of this, the community health aspect, is an important perspective that I hold as well. So when the county asked me to be a part of this, I was excited. This was my first opportunity to do anything at the county level. All my engagement has really been within town where I live. So all that to say, I think we have a pretty wide range of perspectives here. We're really doing our best to make these amenities as positive as possible. So we're excited to be here. Rachel's going to give a little bit more of an introduction and then sort of act as our facilitator here. And then do we want to just go top to bottom, or do we want to, how do we want to do that? Okay, sure.
All right, so let me start off. We know a reason that you guys are here today is because of the proposed White River Greenway Trail. Some of the things that I just want to clarify before we get started, there is an alignment that is in our Park and Recreation Master Plan that was adopted last year. That is a conceptual, visionary, not even an alignment, it's a conceptual plan. And when we do planning, we have these big conceptual ideas that get put into a document, and that particular piece does align with the state's plan too. So this wasn't something that we came up with on our own. This is something that aligns with state goals as well. Conceptual alignments or conceptual plans don't show exact alignments. So the point of it is to show, like, we want to make a connection from point A to point B. And then as you start going through the planning process, that's where you get more detailed and you learn more about where the potential alignments could go. And then park boards can make decisions on where an alignment would go based on feedback that we get from the consultants that we work with. So at this point in time, we do not have alignment information on where this would go, because that's the study that we're currently doing right now, is to give us options on where there could be feasible trails put on the ground. And it's going to give us information on, if there's an area that floods really bad and that we shouldn't put a trail, that's the kind of information we're going to get during this study. So I just want to be clear that, like, right now there's nothing on paper that would show an exact alignment of where this trail will go. And a lot of the questions that we're getting in email, are, how are you going to do flood mitigation on this particular trail? And quite honestly, we don't have the answer to that yet because we don't have an alignment. So as we are moving through that process, there are going to be public engagement opportunities for you to come in and tell us what you think about those different alignments that are going to get proposed to us. And we can make a decision about that based on the feedback that you give us. I think, knowing what you can do as the public is really important. So like meetings like this, usually we have our board our agenda that we're going to work through, and we all have our jobs too that we're taking time out of our day to come to this. We all feel passionate about serving on the board, so this is well worth our time to come and look at ways that we can improve Madison County. And we appreciate you guys coming during the middle of the day like this too. So we just want to be upfront that future this is definitely going to be a listening session for us. I have a cutoff at 1 o'clock that I have to leave because I got to get back to my real job. But in future meetings, we may not have time to do a full listening session. So I just want to be clear on that. So other good ways for you to give us your feedback is to, of course, email us. Leanne is our board secretary, and there is an email address that if you can make sure you're copying that email address on, that would help us keep track Again, we're volunteers. We're trying to do better at communication. This is a new board, and there's limited resources right now with, having staff. So we're doing our best, and we know it's not great, but we hear you, and we're going to really try our best effort to do better to make sure websites are getting updated and there's more information for you guys to hear, because that's important. I mean, for me as a board member to Google when our board meetings are and to see that it was the wrong time is super embarrassing. So I apologize about that, and we're working to do better. So Leanne is going to be really instrumental for us, that if you copy that board email address, that she can keep track of all of the comments that we get so that we can address them as we're going through the process. Does that make sense? Yes, I can. The email is parksdepartment@madisoncounty.in.gov.
Is department spelled all the way up?
Yes, it is.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes. parksdepartment@madisoncounty.in.gov. And you can, of course, copy us on it. We may not respond directly, but if you copy Leanne on it with that park email address, she's got a form that she started, or a spreadsheet that's going to have all the concerns and questions that you guys have, again, so that we can look at those and see what we need to tweak or work on as we're working through this process. All right? Okay.
Cool.
And again, please be patient with us. We're a brand new board. I know that's asking for a lot of grace, because I know that this is near and dear to your hearts too, and you guys want to be involved and integrated in the process. We want to work alongside you in all of this, and we hope that you guys can work alongside us in this too. Ultimately, we have one of the worst health rankings in the state. Our county does. So having some investment in outdoor recreation, I think, is really important for our county. So I think, we're all up here with really good intentions, and we know that, we want to work alongside you in this, so we need to hear your concerns so that we can best address them as we can. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a ton of people who want to talk today, and we have 45 minutes. So what I want to do is, there was 24 people who signed in, and I think that gives us like a couple minutes for each person to come up and talk. So we are going to, unfortunately, cut you off after a couple minutes. If there's stuff that you get up to say that you don't have time to say at all, please email us and let us know what you were not able to say today that you wanted to be able to say. The other piece of that is, one thing, let's all be respectful, so that as someone is up here, please, if the audience can be quiet so we can hear what that person wants to say. The other thing is, if someone says something, we don't need it repeated 10 times. If someone comes up and says, hey, we're worried about flooding on a trail, that's great. We only need to hear that one time. We don't need to hear that 10 more times. So if you're bringing new information up to discuss, absolutely come up and tell us. But if you are repeating stuff that's already been said in the meeting, that's really not being efficient with our time. So if you can keep that in mind as you come up to speak too, that would really be helpful and respectful to everyone in the room. Does that make sense? All right. Thank you. I'm going to go from the top of the list to the bottom of the list. And like I said, just so we can get as many people in, please don't be offended when I say, okay, your time's up. You're going to have to go sit down and we'll get the next person up. All right? All right, let's start with Don. Front row, Don.
Yeah, front row, Don.
Best seat in the house.
Don Zalakar, and I live at 5012 West 8th Street Road. And I have three big concerns. One is power. How are we going to light this thing if it goes either way? You're going to light the street? You're going to light back in the back of the river on the pathway? How's that going to be done? How's the security? Are you going to involve security? That means we got to hire more sheriffs, because the sheriff doesn't have enough people now to do the job. And then we also have setbacks. How much room are you going to take? There's so many people that are speculating and I've heard 70 feet, I've heard 35 feet. I need to know, because if you go in the back, I'm going to lose a lot of my buildings, that kind of thing. The lady next to me is going to lose her swimming pool, and the one on the other side's gonna lose his barn. So that's very important. You go to the street, now you're gonna bring it up to my creek. And the creek, we spent a lot of time on it. So I don't want to belabor the point. Those are just my concerns as a homeowner on 8th Street Road.
Which side of 8th Street is that?
I live on
That's
the,
on the river.
500, if you go right across the street, 8th Street, that's my house with the bridge. So that's where we're at, and I appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Don.
Yes.
Oh, I live on the,
Yeah, it's
on the
river
north
side.
side of 8th Street, but the south side of the river.
Yes.
Yep, gotcha.
Don was faster than 2 minutes, everyone, so someone gets an extra 30 seconds. All right, Alan.
My name is Alan Kilburn. I live at 5614 West 8th Street Road. I need to have the questions answered in probably the 2 minutes. And can the ARPA money be used to develop a nature preserve like Fall Creek Woods in Hamilton County? This park has hiking trails and kayak launch on Fall Creek. Can you use that money for that or not?
I will have to get back with you on that one. I'm not sure the parameters exactly of it. I know that the ARPA funds, we did a request from the commissioners to do this particular study, so.
Our original dialogue in terms of the ARPA and sort of the request that we made was oriented around trails generally, not a large swath of land. You know, it hasn't been our goal to acquire acres and acres of nature preserve or even ball fields and things like that many parks departments do. That may be in our future, but in terms of this initial ARPA allocation that the commissioners have given to us to use, it is focused on trail development and specifically the study of this corridor.
Okay, at Perkinsville, could the money be used for a shelter house at the canoe launch?
Certainly, exactly. Yes, that's definitely within the scope.
Okay. Does your group have a date for the decision about the trail which will be developed? Do you have a set date that you need to?
We have a deadline in terms of spending that ARPA money, as every dollar from ARPA has a limit. I believe that's September of 2026. Is that accurate?
That sounds
In terms of making decisions here, no, not a specific timeline. The study that we're involved with, that the engineering firm is working on, we expect to have all of these choices in front of us here sometime in June. So our intention is that
June or July.
Okay, yeah. So the intention is definitely by the end of July is when we will be having a list of options and starting to make these choices collectively.
Okay. Now, how was the board selected? Were you appointed or were you volunteered? And who appointed you then?
There's various people that appoint us, so county commissioners, county council, and the county surveyor.
All had appointments.
Well, I would just like to make a point, as you're basically volunteers or whatever, your decision is going to affect my lifestyle and these people's lifestyles. We didn't buy our property to have other people walk behind us. So that is my point. Thank you.
All right, Chad Smart.
My name's Chad Smart. I live at 5492 West 8th Street Road. I'm new to this. I've only moved in 4 months ago. Lifelong resident of LaPel up until my 20s. Moved to Noblesville. Moved back out here to get away from the city. Now it just seems like you're wanting to bring the city back to me. It's peaceful. The trails, if it goes anything like Anderson, I can take you a 10-minute walk from here and walk Anderson's trails. It's in disrepair. You can't even use Chief Anderson's overlook. It's blocked off. Graffiti all over the trail. People will not walk it at night. It is dangerous. Homeless encampments. I walk 10 minutes. Homeless encampments everywhere up and down that trail. What's going to happen out here? And I have one question, or actually two questions. Is it true that the county has bought property at the end of Layton Road on 8th Street?
No.
No.
Okay. What do you tend to
Or
do
at
if
least
it comes
not the
to?
park board. The park board has not. Like,
Okay.
I don't
Do you-
know about other
Do you
county
plan
departments.
on using eminent domain to take property from people?
No.
No. That is not in our plans at all.
Okay, because if you take my property, you're taking probably a third of my property, because I'm in a floodplain. My river bottom is nicely kept. We picnic there all the time.
Mhm.
And it's you're gonna have to come up into my yard to stay out of the floodplain. We don't want that. I don't want people coming through my backyard.
And we don't want to do eminent domain. So
Okay.
that
was-
is something that slows processes down, and we don't have time with that, with the funding that we have to spend.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to make sure that we're being respectful, so if it's not your turn to talk, we need to be quiet, please. Next one is Tom Gill. And after Tom Gill is Susan,
McElroy?
yes. So if you just want to get queued up, you're in the batter's box.
My name's Tom Gill, live at 9352 West 8th Street Road. Have about 36 acres along White River. There's a lot of trees on it, it's floodplain. What's the liability to the owners when somebody gets smashed by a tree? Is that on the homeowner, or how are you going to cover that?
Nancy, you probably have some
I
great
do-
experience with
I
this.
do have, trees in the law kind of experience, but no, it would not be on the homeowner. And if that is part of the trail, then it would be the county's responsibility and liability for that tree. So,
Will that be put in writing someplace?
it's not, it's.
Indiana code, I
it's
think,
kind of
has,
Yeah, it's kind of like
It's
a
already-
blanket, yeah.
like, your insurance will not accept
Yeah.
responsibility
Right.
for it if it's not your responsibility.
I mean, I could spend a whole hour talking about trees in the law and neighbors' trees
Yeah.
and trees falling on fence lines and all that, but yeah, we don't have time for that
Okay,
today.
how does that affect the hunting?
How does that affect what?
The hunting?
Hunting.
Yeah.
More
Yes,
specifically?
we do a lot of hunting.
I think it's still just gonna go by county laws for whatever the
Right.
laws are for county, for hunting in
Even
the
though there's
county.
people walking the path back there. You can't,
Well, that would be, I'm making the note. This is a good question.
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
don't know how
specific
to-
answers on that. It is certainly a concern.
I don't know anything about.
it'd be a
hunting
big
laws.
concern.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're happy to hear it. Thank you.
I mean, I just know that if you live in city limits, you're not allowed to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so,
as we
I
go
mean,
through the
but you're not-
So
county,
as we go through the county, I'm sure there's probably going to be some kind of laws involved in that.
I
Right.
would think.
Hi. My name is Susan McElroy. I live at 3807 West 8th Street Road. I just have, I guess, some feedback and then some concerns. First, it would be extremely helpful. I know you guys are a new department, but there's no Facebook page, there's no website, there's no information. I emailed all of you on Monday, and I did not hear a response from any of you. I did not include the Parks Department email, so I will do that. But obviously, there's interest in this project, so engagement with the public outside of this room would be very appreciated so that we have access to information.
Agreed.
Thank you. Transparency is just it's going to be super helpful for every single person here. So I just wanted to pass on that would be appreciated.
Thank you.
I don't disagree that we need trails in this county or parks or something for recreational activities, but I do not think that West 8th Street Road is the place for it. That road, if you are driving down it, if you were to put the trail in the front, it's dangerous. If you were to put the trail in the back along the river, it's going to flood. I know that you said you don't want to hear that over and over again, but
You're the first one,
No,
though.
you're the first one.
okay.
You're good.
I didn't realize I was the first one to
This
say
meeting,
it.
this
You
meeting.
caught it.
I do think, though, that it would be beneficial to hear that numerous times because you're going to know what we care about.
For
And
sure.
you're going to know from us what our properties do and these properties that we drive by every day look like. So I know you said not to do it, but I guess I don't disagree with it. And then I just want to echo what someone else said. We moved here to get away. So putting these trails in our backyard when our county sheriff's office doesn't even have the budget to buy bulletproof vests for its officers, how are they going to patrol this? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Chad. And then after that will be Gary.
Hi, I'm Chad Edmondson. I have several properties on 8th Street. 4206 West 8th Street is one, and several on Ryan Drive. And I speak for my family as well. We are ultimately very concerned about this because of the intrusion of, I know someone has mentioned the homeless population. I'm a big trail advocate. I bike and I ride a lot along the other trail. I really don't see anybody ever using a lot of the trails already. We already have Mounds Park, which is wonderful. We already have Shady Side. We have a lot of that. I don't know that I've thought about it a lot, because I do like to run and I use the trails in Anderson. I just don't know that we need more. Number one would be my thought. Maybe improvement of the existing infrastructure would probably be better. I'm deeply concerned about the homeless encampments that I do see along the trails and how that would potentially, pervade outward. Madison County is a homeless magnet, as you know. I mean, other surrounding counties are constantly, bringing their homeless here, and that is a deep concern of mine. I know it's not for this committee, but it is something to take into consideration. We do not have the infrastructure to continue to what we're doing. I'm concerned about the reduced property value. I specifically bought properties along the river just for the beauty of the river. It's like buying a lakeside property that floods. All of my property, man, I don't know how you would keep, some sort of concrete path there. It would wash away. The river is a moving object. It's going to eat it away. So, and then how far back would you go? You're really encroaching it'd be on a lot of my properties, and the floodplain is huge. At least twice a year, my property gets flooded out immensely. I can't do anything with it other than enjoy it for what it is. Other issue, I guess the property values is what I'm concerned about. And there are some of the wildlife concerns. I know one gentleman mentioned hunting, but some of the other wildlife concerns, we have river otter on the White River. And I think that, having a path along there I don't know what it would do to them. I know the DNR released them about 10 years ago on the other side of Muncie, and they've made their way down here. They are West 8th Street. So they're not going to be here anymore. And there's several beaver dens. It would cause a lot of wildlife problems. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chad. Gary. And after Gary is Helen.
Hi, Gary Shop, 6702 West Ryan Drive. A lot of the questions I had have been answered. I recognize we're early in the process. Just a couple things. Define alignment. I got it from context, but.
Sure. So alignment would be on the ground routes.
Okay, got it.
It's still, sometimes on alignment studies, there's like corridors that are identified. So there's an overall corridor, obviously it's White River Greenway. When we get down to the alignment, there could be 4 different alignments or so that get shown on a map. And those are the alignments then that we'll talk about and figure out, which ones have the bigger challenges that we don't necessarily want to get into and which ones are the better alignments for what we think will accomplish the goals. So does that help?
Yep.
And then after alignment studies are done and a final route is selected, that's when design will actually start on the actual trail itself.
Excellent. We know the timeline for potentially getting this back from the consultant. What's the timeline for things like the website being fixed, the meetings being posted? Because, finding it out through our wonderful neighbors is great, but I'd like to see it official.
Yeah, great question.
I apologize. We had canceled our April meeting because that was when the tornado had hit the night before, and we had power outages, obviously. So we had a May meeting, but our goal, we were giving a tiny amount of seed money, and our goal is to kind of work with a nonprofit consultant to kind of help us with mission, vision, values, and then of course starting with one, maybe static website. So we're starting out kind of small, but then, obviously we're having a listening session today. So obviously because we're a government volunteer board, we can't just have committee meetings and get together and kind of knock some of this out. So it takes a little longer than probably any of us here sitting here today are really happy with. But definitely our goal, next steps are all of that you just mentioned. How can we build a decent Facebook page? Who's going to manage that page? And then, of course, coming up with our mission, vision, values, and bylaws.
And I think there may not be a Facebook page. I just don't think we have the capacity to manage a Facebook page,
Sure.
but having a website that we can actually go to have information, I think is the first priority.
I was
So
in a
having,
meeting on Monday working
Yeah.
on the website. It is
Excellent.
absolutely in progress.
Yeah, not on the stormwater page.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So when's the next meeting?
A month.
our next meeting, I can be
Well,
specific.
it's July, and then we're meeting because of the holiday. We're meeting.
Well, we moved it, I thought we moved it to July 10th.
Yes.
It's generally the first Thursday of the month.
At noon.
At
All right.
But I don't think you guys want to be here on the 3rd, the day before the 4th of July, and we don't either, so.
We would be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're not going to make you guys do that, though.
July the 7th, yes. Thank you, Gary. Helen is next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Helen Ween, 3522 East, 200 North, Anderson. And I live on the opposite side of the county, and I'm also very pro-trail. I have been studying and involved in the Mounds Greenway trails for about the past 6 or 7 years now. That specific study was done on the northern part of the county, and I'm kind of hoping that's where you guys will start because so much of it is already completely done. I am not afraid of homeless people coming out by my house because homeless people are not going to walk 15 miles to come behind my house. Okay? They're staying in Anderson, and they're on those Anderson trails because they have nowhere else to go, and they want to be close to the Christian Center because that's where they eat. So that's the truth of homelessness. They're not going to walk out to 500 North to be behind your house, okay? That's just not going to happen. So I think that part of it needs to just be taken off the table from where you are. Well,
Okay, hey,
I can't
it is
say you can
Helen's time to
guarantee
talk.
it. Okay.
It is Helen's time. My goodness, why does it do that?
It's all right. Can you turn this down on all of it?
Okay, Helen, please continue.
Okay. The other parts that I'm saying is the main parts of the Mounds Greenway portion of the trail, the study has already been done. So we've already been kind of through that process. There are several areas that will need to be completed because that will be what happens if it does go out your way. They can only do sections at a time. They cannot just roll through. They can only do specific sections at a time. And the idea is to connect Anderson to the county so that bike riders don't have to oppose traffic on the roads. So that's kind of the whole gist of it. I think we need to address more the care of the trails and how that's going to be accomplished, but I really hope our section of the trail gets in because I've seen trails in the southern part of the states, and they do not depreciate the value of your property, they increase it. So that's my saying.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you, Helen.
Alice, and after Alice is Max.
I'm gonna skip.
You're going to skip? Okay, thank
you.
you. Max? Okay.
Appreciate it.
Peggy Jackson?
I'm just here for information.
Okay.
I don't know if I ask questions, but our property is one that we saw in the letter, 52 acres of so. But
Okay.
until you have alignment, I guess that's what
We're exploring right now is really what's happening. Thank you. Yes.
David
Appreciate it.
Crandall? David, I don't know if I recognized you not being on a bike, so.
Yes. Yeah,
Good to see
I
you.
have my bike clothes on today. It's a little rainy out there.
Yeah.
So I'm Dave Crandall. I live 632 East Water Street in Pendleton. I'm really here because I'm a bike rider. I've ridden bikes all over the state, ridden bikes all over the country, ridden my bike from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., totally on trail. Last year I rode my bike from Buffalo to Albany, New York,
Wow.
all on trail, no roads. It's incredible, some of these trails and just how nice they are. And I know also if you do get out in the country, there's just nobody out there. If you get out in away from the city. I know there's a problem with homeless here in Anderson. I know there's problems in some of the trails in Indianapolis with homeless. But then I also know that there's a lot of areas where the infrastructure, stuff's improved. If you look at the Monon Trail in Indianapolis toward downtown, it used to be totally industrial wasteland. Now they're building new homes. The property values went way up. In Carmel, people who lived on the trail opposed it. Now those properties are sought after. People are getting more money for houses on the trail than they are living in the neighborhood away from the trail. So, and again, I'll second thing about the homeless people. I've ridden everywhere. You don't see people out, 5-10 miles away from the city centers that are criminals or homeless. It's just people out there enjoying being on the trail. You got runners and bikers and so forth. It's not like crime's not going to travel down the trail. That just doesn't happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You need to read and find out these things. It's not just an opinion, it's truth. That's,
Thank you.
just thinking that it's a problem. It doesn't make it a problem.
Debbie, you're up, and then Liz, and after Liz is Mitch.
Hi, I'm Debbie Berry. I live at 6614 West Ryan Drive in Anderson. Just some concerns. Somebody's already said maintenance, but since we don't have an alignment, I had never thought of you coming across my backyard as opposed to down by the river. And then I don't know how you'd get it if you're not going to use eminent domain, because I'm going to say no. I don't want you there. I can see you there. And we have a woods to overlook, and to see a trail back there with a bunch of people, and then they're going to think, well, okay, I can walk down there too, off the trail, because it looks like that. We upkeep it. We keep it up. I don't know about going to the bathroom if you're doing porta pots or whatever, but again, that's a problem. I don't know. There are homeless that do come out, and they are working their way out, is all I'm saying. I've seen them. They're in just west of Baxter Road, or just west of the county building right now, and they were in a woods, and they've had to start clearing out the woods to make sure they're not going to stay there, because they were setting up a tent encampment. So that's an issue. So the fact that they say that homeless aren't going to come, well, I say you build it and they'll come. So that's my concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Liz and Mitch, and then Patty.
My name is Liz Hobbs Camparelli. I live at 8383 West State Street Road, and my family pretty much owns everything from Busby Drilling Company, except for Mitch and Mary's, down to my place on both sides of the river. And a couple things haven't been mentioned to this point. This is ARPA money. It's different than state grants. And there was guidance issued by the Government Finance Officers Association, of which this county is a member, that advised counties not to, quote, create new programs or add-ons that require an ongoing financial commitment. That was the advice they gave to counties and cities. By the plan's own admission, this is going to cost $2,400 an acre just in maintenance, plus 6 full-time employees. This is in there. You are creating a new tax with ARPA money. I hope this doesn't get clawed back for violation, because then we have to pay for the $4 million and you didn't get the plan. I'm also concerned about the idea that there will be more grants. Only 15 to 30% of all grants for trails are for maintenance. We will have to pay for the continuing maintenance of this, and nobody's talking about that. Regarding the alignment, I don't know what Burgess and Nipel is telling you, but I have it on good authority from the state that you will have to do a 106 review, and you will have to get a federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife permit for all the bald eagles that are up and down the river. People see them. They're federally protected, and you have to stay 330 feet away from their nesting sites from December 15th to July 31st. So I don't know how you're going to make all this work And I don't know what Burgess and Nyepel is telling you. I hope you consult with people before you release this plan. Duke has a 25-foot separation easement requirement. If you put it on 8th Street, you're going to take out my mom's parking lot to our 123-year-old building. You're going to take out grain bins for some of my neighbors. I don't even know how people are going to operate their heavy equipment, grain trucks, combines, sprayers, rigs, big trucks. How is this going to work if you put the trail along the road and all these businesses and farmers have to dodge pedestrians and bikes along the way? I don't understand how that's going to work. And then my last comment is, the federal government, Department of Treasury, issued guidance just in the last 6 weeks that says you can reallocate ARPA money for other things. You do not have to spend this money on this trail. You can do something else with it. They are giving you the flexibility. I don't know if anybody's told you that. The federal government has said that. I think this trail has a lot of problems. They're going to show up in the audit when you have to turn in all your paperwork at the end. And I hope you will do your homework now and not after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mitch, Patty, and then Julie.
Hi there. I'm Mitch Smith, live in the 8,000 block of West 8th Street Road. Lifelong Madison County resident, love Madison County. Appreciate what you're doing. I think it's a pretty uphill battle. For those that don't know, this has been a year going so far, am I correct?
The board has.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of investment already without lots of us knowing. Supposedly, we sent out a random flyer to county people, is that correct?
For what?
For input on this?
No.
Okay.
There was a park and recreation master plan that was done first, and I believe that might have been part of that, where there's certain requirements for the master plan that the state has in place, and all of those requirements were met, of course, for that plan.
Great, thanks for answering.
You're welcome.
So I think we're in a 6-mile range, is that right, from Layton Road to Highway 13? Would that be correct?
Roughly.
Give or take, let's say that, right? I think what would help lots of us, and I know we keep getting I don't knows, but it says in the master plan, if I'm correct, there's four options. If it says that in the master plan, what are those 4 options?
Roughly speaking, the north side of the White River, the south side of the White River, the north side of 8th Street, and the south side of 8th Street.
I love it. I love it. So that doesn't narrow down our 6+ mile range, because here's the real point. I think we would all agree. If this is going to operate between Layton Road and 500, you're not going to have to worry about me, because that's not even close to our house. And I feel like the people that live in that area, if it's out by us, they're probably not going to worry that much either. I have this flyer that I want to give you guys. And this is a flyer of parks that are close, that have excellent trail system in it. Now, the only reason I say that is this, because I agree with a lot of the people that if we have a trail system, we're basically going to use it for bicycling, which I love bicycling. I know it doesn't show, but I do. Now, right? Because here's the point. I don't think anyone's going to drive into a trailhead, and how far do you expect them to walk? I mean, we're not going to walk a mile, most likely, and let's say we do. Then you're going to turn around and walk back. Whereas in a park system or some type of a little satellite park, we could have all kinds of cool trails to it, similar to Shadyside, which I think, or Camp Cotiwi. I'll leave this with you guys.
Sure.
So here, I think, is the real meat and potatoes. It would be great if this wonderful board could have people get on board and help push us up the mountain that's going to be a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, how many people in here are for it? Raise your hand. Excellent. I love that. Is that 6 or 7?
Mm-hmm.
How many people of the 6 or 7 will this be on your property?
We don't know that yet.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. You got 4 options. So on the north side of the road, south side of the road, north side of the river, south side of the river. Is anybody that's for it? So we got one person that's for it, that it could possibly be on. It's not going to be on Helen's property. Not even close.
Okay.
And that's kind of the end of my story. I would just, I mean, I think we can already see that we don't have a room of people that are for it already, I hope it ends.
Thank you.
Or I hope it has a better plan of distinguishing where it's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have Patty, Julie, and then Bill.
Just to say, we have about 14 minutes left, so I think we're doing well, but I just want to say it out loud.
I'm Patricia Hobbs. I live at 7944 West 8th, where County Road 800 West comes in to West 8th Street. I'm opposed to the trail. If it's located on the north side of West 8th Street, it would eliminate my front yard. I would literally have strangers walking within 10 feet of my living room window. My home has remained in the family since it was built almost 200 years ago. And there is no way for me to protect myself or my property from strangers who would be wandering by. If it's located on the south side of the road, then it is going to destroy the front of my business, Busby Drilling Company, which has been there for 123 years. We have heavy equipment and delivery trucks in and out of there, and I don't know how well, I'm sure they will be extremely careful to try to dodge bikers and pedestrians. If the trail is located along the river on our family's property, as the river meanders up towards West 8th Street, there is literally no place for the trail to go. You will see a big metal guardrail because it is a straight drop-off. Now, in that particular area, you have curves and dips in the road, so it is not going to be safe for people to crosswalk over to the other side of the river until they get past that part. I've lived in Jackson Township for over 50 years, and I can remember years ago there was a discussion about a bike trail. However, the residents opposed it, and it was for many of the reasons that we're all talking about here today. At least in the 70s, those who wanted the trail had the courtesy to ask us if we wanted it before moving forward with plans and spending money on it. And they had the common sense not to impose their will on us without asking. And thank you.
Patty, your glasses are fabulous. You're welcome. I love them. All right, Julie, Bill, and then Jim. I'm going to wait my time. You're done? Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
Bill, Jim, and Lee.
My name's Bill Nagengast. I live on West 8th. Actually, that's not true. West Anderson, 925 Anderson Franklin Road, 350 West. Got 78 acres, right on the river. I've listened to everyone's concerns here about the bike trail, and being a property owner, I got every one of them. I agree with them. I've also ridden on some of the most fabulous bike trails in the world. And there's problems every one of you has brought up that somehow have been solved. They need to be solved. They shouldn't do it without solving the problems. I'm totally in agreement with that. I'm with you. But if you see a great trail, and you see it done right, and you see it did solve the problems, it's worth it. It's incredible. It's very valuable. I'm totally behind it, as long as it solves the problems. And I think I applaud this board for making a list of the problems that have got to be solved. I think that's a damn good thing. Let's find out what we got to do to make it happen and deal with them. And then propose a solution for those problems and take a look at it. I think we need to give them a chance. This is where they get the problems. They got to try to solve them. I'm going to be back here and listen to the solutions with you. But I'm telling you, a good trail, holy cow, is it a good thing. But it's got to be done right. That's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Jim?
Hi, my name is Jim Bauer. I'm the president of the fire territory, Stony Creek Township, presently. Preparing to try to figure out if we're going to be able to move forward with South Madison. My biggest concern right now is, first of all, you've already heard this, the sheriff couldn't even get his vest for that particular thing, but the fire department with EMS is a major concern. If we can't get enough people to run EMS onto those trails, what happens if somebody gets hurt out there? So it is a major concern, and I know that you're going to try to figure this out, but I want you to keep that in mind.
Yes,
Thank you. Lee, and then Michael, and then Josh.
Leah.
Sorry.
Just want to make sure there's no
Yes,
here.
Leah, thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask first of all if you got my letter. I sent a letter but didn't get a reply, so I don't know if anybody
Was
got
it an email
a letter.
Physically or via email?
Email to the Parks Department.
I don't know if I got one from,
Hellring, yeah, May. You did get it. Oh, but they don't know about it. Okay, well then I'll just take my 2 minutes to summarize it quickly. Because I think your report is amazing. I've read it 3 times, a lot of stuff. And I remember getting my survey about parks. I'm excited about getting parks and trails in Madison County. And last time you let us ask a question, my concern last meeting was that there's only one feasibility study going on and that this was the location that was chosen for that. Because when I read the report, I remember being surprised because the priorities that you guys set were to connect existing things, existing amenities in the county, and this would not fulfill that. It's connecting to another county and not to other amenities. When you look at Jackson Township where it resides, it's the least vulnerable people there, it's the lowest population there, and those are prioritized to hit the most people that we can to have the biggest impact in Madison County. The White River, the report talked about how what a big watershed it is, but Pipe Creek and Fall Creek could be developed more successfully, and Pipe Creek sits in the northern part of the county where Orestes and Ellick and Frankton and all those places have some existing structures, but no trails. Frankton's not even near your trail boundary. So in my letter, I cited the figures that you had and so that you could see what I was trying to point out. I was trying to talk to Tom, and Ben were gracious to talk to me last week. I said, I'll put it down on paper so that it'll make sense. So I took the time to do that, to reference the article. Okay, yeah. So, but in general, my confusion was that the public also said we want to connect existing Madison County things to make it easier to get around. And on the east side, the connector of the greenway space for Mound, so I kind of feel like to connect that side, it's like an easy win with a high impact. That's where the events are. You'll look down at Jackson Township, 0 events that you guys found in the report, but all of them, and the population and the vulnerable people up in the north. So I proposed 2 particular projects, one including the state priority to do Honey Creek, sits up there too. And I appreciate the fact that connecting to another county is a long-range goal that the report talked about. But to do that on the east, you could connect to Henry with the Honey Creek.
Yep.
So it seemed like it just was a surprise to me that this became a priority when there were other places that I think you could hit a lot of the metrics that you bubbled up as being important. So thank you. My letter's there with references. Okay.
Thank you, Leah.
Michael, Josh, and then Janet. Was there a Michael?
Oh, Michael.
Michael is first.
Michael Burton?
It says Michael Burton.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Josh?
Well, first of all, thank you very much to this board for having this hearing and for hearing us out. I know this is a first step in just making sure we get public engagement, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So one concern, and I just want to echo it in more detail, it's been 30 seconds. So as big thanks to Jim Bauer for being here, because Jackson Township's fire protection and ambulatory service on the south side of the river is covered by Stony Creek Township. On the north side of the river, it's covered by Lafayette Township. So there was concern that from ambulatory service and fire protection, like they were, when questions were asked to them, they didn't even know. We had already heard of the Parks Board. They didn't know anything about the trail system. So I think that's a concern from the safety point of view. In case in point with the sheriff's office with John Beeman, he was not brought into it in any way, shape, or form. But it was stated in one of your previous meetings, and I can quote the meeting later if need be, that to paraphrase, that it's all being taken care of. Those people can operate. Those people being in a very polite term. Sorry, not of those people, but the ambulatory service and the sheriff's office will cover that under their current jurisdiction, and with extra services and extra infrastructure, it takes extra money, and where's that coming from? And I think just have that consideration.
Absolutely.
And then the question, the big question, I think, with what we've been hearing and here, with this board has communicated, and thankfully that, and a direct quote is, eminent domain is not, you don't have an appetite, as a direct quote for eminent domain. So thank you very much for that. So one follow-up question, if this park board were to approve a plan, the trail system along the Wright River corridor, specifically through Jackson Township, and you have a group of people that don't want to sell for any price and for any reason, will the plan die, or what's the next step?
I think it's important to know that this is a long-range plan.
Sure.
Right? So this isn't going to happen overnight. And if there are parts and pieces that can't get constructed because property owners are not wanting to sell, that's okay. And, there's gaps in trail projects all over the state that as opportunities do arise, those gaps can be rectified or filled. That's what happens. So I think that's the approach that the board would be taking with this too, is that we know that there's going to be personal preferences not to do that. And as the future, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 25 years from now, someone might own that property that has a different opinion about it that would want to sell. So, I think that's more of the approach that we would take, is those who want to be part of it right now or want to sell right now, that's great. And if you don't want to sell right now, that's okay too.
And I think that's a great definition, because, everybody in this here room can be dead in 20 years, and then they could be a new
I know, I
vision.
don't like leading with
But and being sensitive to my time, but just for clarification, would this board be willing to put something in writing? Because at the end of the day, what we say is one thing and what's written is another, and what's written in your context is you have the authority for eminent domain. And if you would term off the board and the president term off the board, maybe the next two people do have a strong appetite for eminent domain. And I think there's a lot of fear with that.
Yeah.
So if you could have a written
That makes
policy, because what you're hearing, and I'm watching my time here closely,
Your
what you're
time
hearing,
is
this is
up.
people's front yards, this is people's backyards, people moved here for these particular reasons. So,
Yeah,
but
understood.
those are concerns. If we could get something in writing to alleviate those concerns, I think that'd be great. And I just want to end it once again, thank you all for having this meeting, taking the time to listen, and I think we're all very interested in better communication going forward, which you've addressed, and thank you for that as well.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
All right, we've got Janet, and then I think it's an ER is the last one. You're good? Okay. And then, I'm sorry if I'm not saying this right, but is it
Are the
ER?
initials, maybe?
Our last person to sign in.
Lives on Ryan Drive.
Are we going to be a mystery ER? Coming up?
Right.
All right, guys, this is our last person. 2 minutes.
My name's Irvin, I live on Ryan Drive. My question to all of you, do you have property on the river, or do you have family members that live on the river?
No, I
That's
do
all
not.
got.
Thank you.
We do have somebody
All
that
right.
does, yes. The
Okay.
answer is one person. Okay.
All right.
Can I ask a question, or make a comment about something real quick?
If you come up to the podium, and this is the last one.
Well,
I just want to say, I've already spoken, so that's probably.
I know, you're getting double dipped here.
we should want to open that up.
No, I said this is the last one.
Okay.
Helen Wing, 3522 East 200 North. The reason I do that, you guys, because I have been involved in trails for about 10 years now. And different aspects of some of the questions that you're asking, when you were asking about property and eminent domain, I know in other areas what they have done, they have gone to areas and approached a seller, and they have told the seller, we will purchase your property and give you a life estate. So that person gets to stay in that property till they die, and then it's reverted to the trail. So that's one way that they can do it without eminent domain with your permission. So, just wanted to say, thank you.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you,
All
Helen.
right,
Do you
you
wanna-
want to wrap it up?
Thank you, everybody. Do we need to repeat the email address? Does anybody need that one more time? Otherwise, we'll be back here July 10th, and look for website announcements and things like that coming soon.